Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds, hanging out with.
Nerdarchy Ted.
And today we're going to say, don't use that dragon, instead use this monster. Hey, we want to start this video by thanking Dragons Bagons by Wayward Masquerade, now on Kickstarter, for sponsoring this video. These are awesome dice bags that look like a dragon. They're cute, they're cuddly, they're going to fiercely protect your dice. Look in the description below where you can find a link to the Kickstarter and go over there and show them some love. Go check them out.
They're awesome dice bags. You gotta get one.
Speaking of dragons,
so we're gonna do another don't use this, use that, and we've gotten loads of requests for dragons. What do we use instead of dragons?
So normally we go, well, what is this monster? What are their mechanically? What are their significance? That's really hard to do with dragons because dragons range in CR from very low to very high.
They range in power and horde level. So if you're going to replace something of the magnitude, you're going to have to replace it with something of equal magnitude.
Right. So essentially, what do you think is the key hallmark for a dragon encounter, for having dragons in your game? What does that represent to you?
All right, so I look at dragons. They're a symbol of power. They have immense strength, immense control or dominance over a region, as well as the versatility of being used on a variety of different levels or tiers in your campaign.
And almost universally, but not necessarily, they're solo monsters. They're going to be the centerpiece of the adventure, the marquee. It's going to be something that the DM is going to present as the boss, right? This is the big bad.
And you've got it so that it can be used as a campaign arc or a single night's adventure.
So in this one, I think we're gonna kind of like paint with broad strokes as opposed to where we go really specific like we've done in the past.
And that's how I approached my research as well. So I'm going to start off and I'm going to say, don't use dragons, use giants. So with giants, you have the spectrum of powerfully good giants and powerfully evil giants, just like you have with dragons. So if you want to have a role-playing encounter with a powerful good thing, you can use a giant just as easily as you could use a dragon. And the same could be said about, well, I want to put a powerful encounter together to challenge my party. You can equally do the same kind of challenge with giants as you could with a dragon.
Yeah, and that's if you're strictly adhering to, to the alignment system as well. But in addition to that, what I think like the advantage of using a using a giant over a dragon is kind of like the human element, right? Giants are more relatable than a dragon. Like, as gamers, as people, we look at a giant and we just see a big person. Maybe, to the umpteenth scale, because even with scaling in with those giants, you could start at ogre, which is giantkin, and it's even weaker than your hill giant, and you could go all the way up to Empyrean, which is basically like a Titan or, kind of like a celestial type giant in essence. So you can really run the gamut as far as power level.
And, again, using the alignment spectrum, using the variety of different challenge ratings, they all have different themes. So, like, you could have a frost giant or a fire giant, just like you could have a white dragon or a red dragon. Those elemental elements are there to still play with. And you can still have beings of incredible intelligence, of incredible physical stature. It's all there. They represent a range of combat abilities, both at range and in melee, with the things that giants have the ability to do. And you're not looking at, oh, well, here's a dumb brute that my players just have to slog through. Yeah, if you go with a low level and you use, an ogre, yeah, you've got something that's very easy to thwart, and did that in last night's game session. There was a pair of ogres and they were easily fooled. But once you get to the higher echelon, you're battling with beings whose mental capacities far outstrip what regular mortals are capable of.
They got big brains and they can use them. No, no, absolutely. And I was also just thinking too, while they're more relatable in the sense that there's a human aspect to giants, they're also socially more relatable as well. So you could run encounters that you might not be able to run with a dragon, or because to me, dragons are they're kind of alien. They're kind of foreign. They're gonna have a different mindset. They're reptilian in appearance. Maybe they think that way. They're ancient beings. Giants live a long time too, but not like dragons. It's like dragons. Like I think of dragons is like an elemental thing. Like they're primal. They're ingrained. Like their magic is ingrained in them, as are the elements and the way they even infect the environment around them. So substituting, giants instead, where you can get the raw power level, but you might get something that's more relatable to your PCs, and they can interact with it on levels that they're more comfortable with and would be like more normal for them. It's just the scale's different.
And of course, giants can just as equally be used as a solo monster, a single adventure hook, or they could range an entire campaign.
Yeah, and or like here's a city of giants, or here's a keep with a giant.
Right.
You can literally do Jack and the Beanstalk style giant. So you got a lot of wiggle room to play with. So when I think of like what are you going to replace a dragon with? To
A
me,
dungeon?
oh, good call, dungeon mimic. No, so to me it's like okay, where does my mind instantly go? Devils, demons, and angels.
Okay, so you're going to replace them with the denizens of the upper and lower planes.
Yes, and the reason being is that you get that wide spectrum of of CR and challenge ratings.
So this actually goes even beyond giants because imps and quasits kind of like stem that one and below.
Yes.
And then once you get up there, I mean, you've got divine beings that you could technically go up against the gods and
Well,
the demon lords.
a solar, there's only 10 of them in existence, right? Or you're right, you have the demon lords and out of the abyss, they're static. So you get immensely powerful beings. Now, where these kind of fit a similar role as dragons is in the sense that they are very much alien and foreign to us as people, and they're going to think a lot differently. So not differently in the same way as dragons, but as they are, and they're like embodiments of like particular ethos and morals. So that's another aspect as well that you'd be able to play with. And again, it's something you can start with from very early, up until the very top of your campaign to the top levels and tiers. Where dragons it's a lot harder, right? You're not going to interact with them as much at the lower levels. Like you may interact with the machinations of dragons, right? Or machinations of dragons, but not necessarily the dragons themselves, especially from an aspect of conflict. Where with giants, demons, devils, and angels, all of them, there are lesser beings of that where you could use them. You could use them, put them in place, and you're still kind of in essence dealing with a demon, a devil, an angel. Whereas with a dragon, you either deal with a dragon or you don't. I mean, you could step it up with different colors and the different chromatic dragons or the different metallic
I
dragons
mean,
and different ages.
you could use half dragons or dragonborn as agents, but it's not the same as directly interacting with the dragon itself. Whenever you have a dragon, I don't know how many dragons you've come up with over the years, but do you ever have to painstakingly deal with, well, what's in the dragon's horde? Did I give enough? Did I give too much? It's not an easy cut and dry. Here's the overall value for this age category. Now it's what you feel is appropriate based on your campaign world, how rich that thing should be or could be. It's a challenge more so than the encounter itself in preparation.
The true monster in this encounter is the horde for the DM, not the dragon itself.
But when you're doing giants, like there's a chart for what's in the dragon's bag, what's in the giant's bag. You know, when you're dealing with angels and demons, they pop. There's no treasure. Like,
Well, there might be like
but
that
it
being said, but I think what you really mean is a dragon's horde has an expectation upon it. Like we all in our minds, like you say, dragon's horde. Like literally, that's a term that non-gamers are familiar with, and it evokes emotions and feelings and thoughts from them. Whereas with if you're talking about demons, devils, angels, and giants, not so much. Like it could be anything, right? It could be like, oh, golden goose or magic harp or whatever.
right. So you're correct. The expectation isn't there, and it relieves that preparation anxiety from the DM. So you can literally put in what you want. Okay, you kill the demon, and rather than him disappearing, his sword or his whip falls to the ground. It's like, ooh, what is that? Is this a trap or is this a reward?
Well, also, if they make a lair someplace for a while, they're probably going to accumulate wealth and
Hmm.
power as they're scheming and doing whatever they're doing as well. So, so the dragon one is actually really tricky. It's not as easy as some of the other ones where we can do a direct correlation and go because we like to actually stick to like the CR of the monster. And then kind of go, okay, well, the monster is the CR, and then what is the role that we kind of feel that monster fits in the game? What are they going to be used as? And now how do we take something else from the monster manual and do the same thing? Oh, with dragons, they run the gambit, so it's really hard. It would be different if you said, what do I replace a blue dragon with, or a red dragon with, or something along those lines, where it's more specific.
Right, but you guys out there, you were asking for how do I replace dragons? Well, they didn't make this game called Giants and Dungeons or Dungeons and Demons.
Right. But in essence, it's actually better for us to handle this anyway, because instead of doing each individual one, well, you have to decide what does a dragon mean to you in your world, and what can fill that same niche. It's a powerful being that is made of magic and elemental forces.
It has a presence when it walks or flies into town, whether it be an angel, whether it be a greater demon. People are in awe or terrified. If a giant approaches the town, whether it's a good giant or a bad giant, people are going to be terrified that they're going to be hauled off and eaten. Whether this thing is here to just crush the buildings, it's going to have the same kind of fear or awe effect of a dragon.
I agree. So the question is, what do you guys think? How did we do with don't use this, use that instead with dragons? Do we get a pass or fail grade? There's a place for that in the comments below. While you're at it, like, share, and subscribe.
Don't forget to check out the description and go check out that Kickstarter.
So until next time,
Stay nerdy.
Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds, hanging out with.
Nerdarchy Ted.
And today we're going to say, don't use that dragon, instead use this monster. Hey, we want to start this video by thanking Dragons Bagons by Wayward Master. Check them out.
They're awesome dice bags. You gotta get one.
Speaking of dragons,
so we're gonna do another don't use this, use that. And we've gotten loads of requests for, dragons. What do we use instead of dragons?
So normally we go, well, what is this monster? What are their mechanically? What are their significance? That's really hard to do with dragons because dragons range in CR from very low to very high.
They range in power and horde level. So if you're going to replace something of the magnitude.
Masquerade now on Kickstarter for sponsoring this video. These are awesome dice bags that look like a dragon. They're cute, they're cuddly, they're going to fiercely protect your dice. Look in the description below where you can find a link to the Kickstarter and go over there and show them some love.
Dude, you're going to have to replace it with something of equal magnitude.
Right. So essentially, what do you think is the key hallmark for a dragon encounter, for having dragons in your game? What does that represent to you?
All right. So I look at dragons. They're a symbol of power. They have